Here on Live from Paris. Israel has carried out airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, hitting at least 4 sites across Gaza this Tuesday afternoon, we understand. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also ordered the Israeli negotiating team back from truce talks in Cairo. Well, this is all after Israel reported that 5 Palestinian rockets fired from Gaza reached towards the south of Israel. Let's get some analysis now on this with our chief foreign editor, Robert Parsons. Very dramatic events today. It looks like that ceasefire is dead and buried for now, at least.
It looks like it. Yesterday it seemed, although nobody knows really why it seemed optimistic yesterday, but there was sort of a flurry of optimism for a while that things were going to work out. And then today we heard from one of the Palestinian spokesmen there that there had been absolutely no progress on any of the fronts whatsoever. And perhaps we need to see these rocket attacks in that context and the sort of feeling of frustration on the Palestinian side that things were going absolutely nowhere. One of Hamas's people there in Cairo said that if Mr. Netanyahu doesn't understand politics, the importance of politics, we have ways of showing him their importance, and perhaps this is exactly what they meant by that. Although the response from Israel is wholly predictable. They've made it absolutely clear either there's a ceasefire or there's no ceasefire. If you want talks, there has to be absolutely no fighting. So both sides are really sticking by their pretty much hardline positions.
Now, it's difficult to say how this situation could evolve, but are we looking at a descent into more conflict now, or is there any possibility these negotiations could start up again?
Well, I think there is a possibility. It's clear what the problem is. You know, the two sides have very clearly set out positions from which they're not prepared to budge. The Israelis are saying there has to be disarmament before we can talk about ending the blockade. Hamas is saying you have to end the blockade before we can talk about anything else. For either side to back down without getting something pretty extensive back in return from the other side will look like a humiliating defeat. That's the problem, more or less in a nutshell. There is another set of proposals, though, out on the table at the moment, which has been proposed by the Egyptians. The problem, though, with any proposal that's made by the Egyptians at the moment is that Hamas is going to be extremely suspicious of it, because Hamas regards Egypt as a partner to the problem rather than as an independent, neutral moderator. But what the Egyptians are suggesting is that instead of going for a peace deal right up front now, there should be a gradual approach, that the emphasis at this stage should be on a lasting ceasefire and put off the substantive talks on a peace deal to, say, a month, 2 months down the road. And what they're suggesting at the moment is that the sides should be talking about how they can ease the blockade rather than end the blockade, talking about the number of lorries that should be allowed to cross backwards and forwards between Israel and Gaza every day, about reducing gradually the buffer zone that the Israeli army has created in Gaza, about extending fishing rights further out to sea in the Mediterranean on the littoral of Gaza, those sort of things. The problem, though, as I said, is that Hamas is so suspicious of Israel at the moment that it's very difficult to see, even on those areas, that very much progress can be made.
Looking back at what's happened this Tuesday, now details still coming through. Our correspondent, Middle East correspondent Gallagher Fenwick, was saying some Palestinian sources saying this missile fire into southern Israel may not come from Hamas itself, but from other Palestinian factions. Now, how significant would that be?
Well, it's possibly the case. I mean, this has happened many times in the past, and Hamas has said, look, it's got nothing to do with us, don't point the finger at us. And Israel has said in return, well, look, I'm sorry, you know, Hamas controls the Gaza. As far as we're concerned, you're the authority there, you control the situation. If you're not capable of controlling the situation in Gaza, it's not a monstrously big territory, then maybe you should be looking to leave. I think perhaps from the Hamas's point of view, at the moment they have to be cautious because they've just suffered severe losses at the hands of the Israelis. They don't want to play a prominent role. It is possible that they're using these smaller groups to send a message rather than firing rockets themselves. And on the other hand, it may be possible that these groups are acting independently of Hamas.
Okay, a lot still at stake there. Thanks very much for that analysis there. That's Robert Parsons, our chief foreign editor. Well, stay tuned to us here on Live from Paris. We'll be back in just a few minutes' time with the latest international news.